For a long time, Cubase has come with Reverence, which is a convolution reverb based on impulse responses, and it's a wonderful sounding reverb, but sometimes you just need a really high quality algorithmic reverb. And so Cubase 7 has included a new reverb called Revelation. So I'm going to close this instance of Reverence, and let's go ahead and add an FX channel with Revelation on it. So I'm going to go to the Project menu, select Add Track, and then FX Channel. And then in the reverb category, if you scroll down the list, you can see all the different reverbs that you have to work with. So let's go ahead and use the Revelation reverb, and it's always going to be in stereo. There's very few times that you would ever add an FX channel in mono, although there might be one or two, but almost always use a stereo configuration. Then click Add Track, and then that will display the control panel of Revelation. Now, before we get too involved in this, let's send some signal into it by using one of the sends. So what I'm going to do is close the control panel for right now, and I'm going to go to our drum track, and I'm going to open the sends, that is the audio sends, and I'm going to assign the second bus to the Revelation. So when I drop down this little box, I can choose the Revelation as its send destination. So I'm going to enable that send, and I'm going to turn the signal down a bit to around -6. And then I'm going to solo the track. Now you'll notice I didn't solo the track beforehand. If I did solo the track ahead of time and then turned on the send, I wouldn't be able to hear those send effects because they wouldn't be soloed along with the track that is assigned to them. So now when I hit solo, you'll notice that the Revelation down here at the bottom of the track list has also been soloed, and that way we'll be able to hear the effect output of Revelation along with its source track. So now to get back to Revelation, I can come down to the send right here, and I can hold down Alt or Option and double click, and that will reveal the Revelation control panel. I'm just going to drag that up here so we can see all of it. Now you'll notice that the control panel is a bright white, and that will give you an idea of what reverb this was modeled after. But let's go ahead and listen to some of the presets. So up here in the preset window, I can call up any of the presets that come with Cubase 7.5. So let's go with Drum Cave Warm. Now that's a very subtle reverb. In fact, let's listen to the before and the after. So a very, very subtle reverb. Let's go with something a little bit brighter. That's nice too. Let's get something a bit bigger. So let's go with a hall reverb that's dark. Let's try a couple more. Let's go with the church natural. Now that's a very, very big sounding reverb, especially when you're running something complex like drums through it. So let's edit some of the parameters now. If we wanted to change the pre-delay, which is the time it takes for the reverb to be heard back by the listener, that adds a nice amount of nuance to that particular track. And then another really wonderful thing about this particular reverb is that it has multiple ways to define how much reverb time is applied to the reverb. Up here under the controls section, you'll notice that we have 4 different controls, 2 of which for low frequencies and 2 of which for high frequencies. But with these low and high time settings, we can add or subtract how much reverb time is separated between those low and high frequencies. For example, if we didn't want as bombastic a sounding reverb on something like this drum set or an entire mix, we could bring down the low time. Or if we wanted to saturate it even more, and if we wanted to adjust at what frequency those low reverbs occur, we could raise the low frequency here. Or if we wanted it to cover even more of the low frequencies, we could lower that frequency. And then conversely, we could increase the high time and even drop the high frequency control to get a little bit more of that bandwidth in there. But I'm going to drop that high time down a little bit and the low time, and I'm going to adjust the main time control, which is down here in the tail section. So I'm going to drop that main time down a bit. And now let's listen to the before and the after. Here's before. And after. We also have specific controls for the early reflection. You can see that we have the early reflection size, the low cut frequency, and the high cut frequency, and a control for the early reflection and tail mix. So if we want more early reflections, or more of a tail, we can adjust that balance here. And we also have the ability to change which model of early reflection we're using. This is a church preset, but it's using the hall early reflection. But you'll notice that you have a choice of 3 different early reflection models, including no early reflections at all. But you can really customize the quality or character of the reverb by choosing a different early reflection model. Then you have some other standard controls like the reverb level and the mix. However, since I'm using Revelation in a FX channel, what I'm going to do is always make sure that I have the mix setting at 100%. You can even enable the little lock right here so that if you do call up a preset that has a mix balance setting pre-programmed into it, it will always stay wet. So I recommend always having the mix control set to 100% when you're using Revelation or really any reverb as an FX channel track. So that's the Revelation algorithmic reverb, and next I'm going to talk to you about the improvements of VST Connect SE.